What's up, Read My Mind Radio family? I hope you all are doing well, feeling good, feeling like things are going your way. Me? Oh, I'm good. You know, I'm here with y'all. Sometimes we know things change up. That's one reason for this podcast, where we feature compelling people impacted by all degrees of blindness and disability. What we learn from the experiences from others can help us draw up our own plans. Because when things seem to fall apart, you don't just scrap your plans. Nah, you just go out and make yourself some bigger plans. You get what I'm saying? Check this out. Read my mind. Read my mind. Radio.
I'm away right now. You could leave a message right after the tone, or you could call another.
You're listening to Not the One by Lachi and Michael Herrick.
Right now I'm just trying to be left alone.
Lachi's an award-nominated recording artist, writer, producer,
film producer, published author. I dabble in acting, I dabble in modeling. I am part of the Recording Academy Advocacy Committee, which I'm very proud of. And I am also a speaker on the Respectability National Women's Speakers Bureau. I am trying to also be a YouTube star and also do everything under the sun that anyone will allow me to do.
Allow? As far as I can tell, I don't think she's waiting for anyone's permission. Nor should she.
If I can give myself a really quick image description, I am an African-American female. I have long hair, most of it's mine, not all of it, that is curly and goes down my back with highlights. And I have big, crazy, bodacious smile.
You can hear that smile when you get into a conversation with her, even when the topic is something that most people wouldn't smile about. Going blind.
I was born legally blind. I've always had to use adaptive technology. I've always had to sort of struggle with meeting other people that would be able to relate to me. But more recently, I did receive yet another diagnosis that is putting me on a path from low vision to no vision in a matter of years.
Her response to those who expect a different sort of reaction.
I've been blind. So going from slightly blind to fully blind isn't as traumatic for me as, perhaps it might be. I just been on that path already. Getting that diagnosis was, while it was quite a bit of a shocker, I wasn't sitting here going, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to change my whole life around. I mean, I already got the cane, I already got the large print. I already have things that I would need to access the things I need. So the transition isn't going to be as hard. But I will say it is a different beast. So I will acknowledge that going from low to no is definitely a big step. And maybe I'm just not ready yet. Maybe I haven't accepted it yet. And that's where I'm at.
That's where she is now. We learn from our past, so let's go back. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in the whitest parts of upstate New York, the blackest parts of Philly, and I southern belted down in North Carolina. I got all types of attitudes inside me, depending on which me you get at what time. And so people say, well, you don't have a New York accent or a Southern accent. I'm like, I have them all balled into one. As much as I wish I had like childhood friends from kindergarten and this and that, I do appreciate the fact that I moved around a lot. But I have spent the last 9 or so years here in New York. I'm New York to the heart, but got love for all.
Growing up with low vision, Lachi was the 6th of 7 children.
The 4 older ones were girls, and the 3 younger ones were me and my 2 brothers. So I was really one of the boys. We'd run around and play, we'd get hurt, we'd do whatever. I was put into public school. I was not necessarily treated as a child with a visual impairment. Yes, we did have social workers and things like that, but I didn't actually have the opportunity to get to know too many other people in my situation, whether it be blindness, whether it be other forms of disability.
Lachi received accommodations like extended test taking and adaptive technology such as magnifiers, CCTVs, and a monocular to see the board.
Because I held things really close, instead of thinking that I couldn't see, they thought that I had maybe some other sort of either social issues or psychological issues. And it gave me sort of a complex of always trying to prove that I knew what I was doing, always trying to prove that I was intellectually sound. I was always sort of a creative kid, but there was never too many outlets for me to hang out with other kids and create with other kids and collaborate with other kids, just because I was super shy and this and that. But I did spend a lot of time on my own, just kind of drawing, writing, and cultivating my musical skills, really.
Being one of the youngest children in the family, Lachi benefited when her older sister lost interest in music. With access to a keyboard, Lachi found a passion.
I'd have all these little dolls and stuffed animals, and I'd line them up, and I would make them sing all of the songs I wrote, and I'd be like, come on, alto section. Now y'all know y'all messing up. But they were good. They were very good listeners. So, but yeah, I mean, I've been writing and playing the piano ever since I can remember.
Black families don't necessarily always promote creativity in the arts. When I meet people who started off and seem to get that support from their family, I'm always interested in that, because back in the day, it was really like, you got to go get a job. Like, this is not going to pay.
You know, I mean, I did kind of glaze over a lot of that. So that is definitely a real thing, not only in Black families, but most certainly in immigrant families. I identify as an immigrant family because my parents both came over from Nigeria in sort of the 70s, 80s, and all of my older brothers and sisters are all nurses, doctors, and so and so I did get the heat as well. I mean, part of the being blind, part of the being visually impaired, and being the only one with this visual impairment in my family did give me a little bit of leeway as the Black sheep, like, oh, okay, maybe she's going to be a little piano virtuoso. But at the same time, I was also very good at math. While my mother was very encouraging of me just kind of doing whatever, my father was very much like, we need to cultivate this math thing you got going on. You better be an accountant, some kind of financial whatever.
While in college, she tried majoring in business for a bit.
I even dabbled in biology until I realized I was not going to dissect nothing. Sorry, not with these nails.
Those nails and the artists they're attached to had other plans, which became clear while at the University of North Carolina.
Every Saturday, I would go down and play the piano in the dorm. That began to blow up into people just always coming through Saturday evenings, waiting for the piano girl to come and play the piano. It started turning into frat boys coming back from parties, or people going on dates, kind of just hanging and lounging in the common area, listening to me play the piano. And it really blew up in a major way. It really did start out with me just playing, and then a friend or two would be like, hey, do you know that one song, or do you know this and that? And then just got to a point where people are just yelling out Freebird. So
now you just said which dorm you was in, by the way. These Saturday night dorm performances helped increase more than Lachi's popularity.
I started becoming more confident because I was sharing my talent with other people, and people were going, wow, you're good at something. And I was like, oh, look, I am. And other people are telling me I am. So I started getting that outside validation. I went to a counselor and I was like, I really want to pursue music. What do I do? And he was just like, move to New York. I was like, what? You supposed to tell me to take like music theory classes or something. So I did.
Move to New York, that is. Arriving by bus in the big city, skyscrapers and everything. Her first stop?
I went to NYU, and that's where I started to meet some great guys out in things like scoring for film. So I did get to meet a bunch of really great people. But when I say I really got into collaborating was when I decided, look, I want to put a band together. I want to put some songwriters together. And so I really did just go out there and just start meeting people. Like, it was amazing how much I just opened up as soon as I moved to the city, and would just be able to go up to people and go, hey, let's you and me work together. And things began to kind of blossom.
You started off earlier, though, by saying you were shy. What's the relationship between being shy and then that creative spirit? Like, was that just that strong, or was there a process? Because I think that people adjusting to blindness, that could make somebody shy.
Yeah. Whether you are born visually impaired or whether you lose it later in life, and you don't know other people in your space, you don't know other people in your situation, you feel different, you feel misunderstood, you kind of feel alone, You feel like you can't really relate to others, no matter how good people are trying to be to you, no matter how inclusive and everything. The first place you go is, well, you don't really get it. And so you kind of coop up. I was bullied like everybody's bullied. And I have some pretty crazy bully stories, but I can't just sit here and complain too much. I did have some love. Regardless of that, I was still putting myself in a shell. That shell just could not stick when it came to me creating music. No matter how hard I tried to box it in, it brought me out. I was playing the piano in college for myself.
It's so important to have something that we enjoy doing. We do it more, and therefore we get better. The result is confidence. Now add the power that comes from meeting other people with disabilities. I'm especially talking about those that you can relate to. Those who share your interest. For Lachi, it started with Visions. Vision Center on blindness, that is.
I went there, I met a bunch of other folks, and this is just not that long ago, perhaps 8 or 9 years ago. It's a camp, so you do all sorts of different activities, not just learning technology. I got to meet a bunch of people. Myself being a musician, it was great to meet other musicians with blindness. A lot came out of that.
Like the chance to create.
He played guitar. We were collaborating so much together, we decided we were just going to go to South by Southwest.
That's the annual music, film, and cultural festival that serves as a way of really introducing new artists to both fans and executives.
Right before we left, I ended up writing to a bunch of labels to be like, hey, we're going to South by Southwest. You should check out our show. Don't ask how I got your email. Just come through. And and of course, I got no responses. But we went to South by Southwest. We played a few bars. It was a lot of fun. And funnily enough, at one of the shows we did, some guy came up to me and was like, I really loved what you guys just did, even though it was just vocals and guitar. Here's my card. Call me when you get back to New York. I get back to New York. I call him. It turns out he was an A&R for a label under EMI. And it was just amazing because we went, we had our meetings, we had another meeting, we had a third meeting, and then we eventually got signed.
In addition to being an artist, Lachi's a producer with her own studio.
I'm a Pro Tools girl, and I use a bunch of Antares plugins. I am a girl that has my computer right at the edge of that desk, and I am 2 inches away from my screen. And it's so funny because people will come in of all sorts. I mean, people of high celebrity to just independent artists will come into my studio. And the first thing they think is, okay, let's see how this goes. A couple of years ago when I first started really opening up my studio to other people, they would come in and then they would be a little alarmed. I did get to a point where I did preface it with people. As soon as they came to my studio, I'd be like, look, I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm visually impaired and legally blind, but you came here because you heard my samples. I will be all up in the screen, but I do use all shortcuts. Everything is shortcuts, shortcut.
She makes it work for her. It's not about the process. Rather, it's all about the art she's making.
Ever since 2016, you're going to get EDM, you're going to get dance, you're going to get trance, you're going to get pop dance. But if you start listening to some of my older music, you're going to get sort of more general pop or pop rock. As I got more confident, my music gets more confident. I really started to enjoy the whole like badass female sort of perspective, and I started to identify that way. And so my music kind of takes that journey.
I was curious if Lachi had ideas on how she would adapt to non-visually making music. Yet, I was hesitant to ask because when she first brought up the diagnosis, she admitted that she wasn't giving it too much thought. She later added that the gradual nature of the loss may also be a factor.
I don't even notice it until I go into my doctor every 6 months, and he's like, dang, girl, you really can't see that E.
The actual sight loss is gradual. Some other things become apparent when they're gone.
It's not really something that has hit my inner realm. I can't necessarily tell you why, but I am sitting here trying to psychologically figure that out myself. I actually think that that's a very interesting thing about myself, that I'm not freaking out about it, but I'm looking at it from a business perspective instead of from a personal perspective.
And you know you can do both. All I guess I really want to tell you is that you have lots of options.
Right.
That's what I want you to know. You're going to be fine. Honestly, I think Lachi already knows that. Meeting a variety of people with all degrees of blindness and disability ever since attending the camp in upstate New York. But some things are relatively new.
Maybe 2017, 2018, where I decided to incorporate my vision loss and my need for accessibility into my career path.
That includes her work with the Recording Academy Advocacy Committee.
I am putting together a number of inclusion and accessibility talks with the Grammys. Anytime I'm in front of anybody from the board membership or anybody from any of these committees, I am talking about inclusion. I am talking about accessibility, and my voice is getting heard. We're talking a lot about Hollywood inclusion. We're not really talking enough about music inclusion. They are coming to me and going, you know what? Let's go ahead and have you do some panels, Lachi. You're the expert on this.
Be on the lookout for some panel discussions around accessibility and inclusion in the music industry.
And another thing that I wanted to mention, my manager, Ben Price of Harborside Management, he got an amazing grant from the UK Arts Council to do a huge sort of study/article on music and its future when it comes to disabilities. So he's out there having some great conversations with people when it comes to just showcasing artists with disabilities, but also with the accessibilities of venues. When we start opening up the city, when we start opening up the nation and the world, if we're starting from zero, then why don't we throw in accessibility while we're at it? Well, why don't you add that ramp, add that handle, add that bar, do what you got to do to make your space accessible? Because guess what 2021 and 2022 is going to be? It's going to be Lachi out here calling you out.
She's currently building a platform that could provide the space to amplify these issues and more. It's on YouTube and it's called The Offbeat.
Hey guys, and welcome to The Offbeat. My name is Lachi. I am a quirky little offbeat musician, and I'm also just an offbeat person. Is going to be a series that chronicles me, a Black girl going blind, just trying to keep up with the sort of fabulous lifestyle that I like to keep up with. Everything from makeup, skincare, and wardrobe to little things like learning how to fold a shirt, to just getting my taxes right, even trying to figure out how to make a YouTube series. Like, let's be real meta and learn that together.
She's partnering with brands who want to support her message.
I'm also really interested in speaking with influencers and top folks in not only the blind space, but in the disability space in general, and even other margins like transgender, LGBTQ, non-binary, just kind of calling on names in that space to ask them how they handle different transitions as well. I'm excited to share it with you and anyone who will listen that we are going on this journey and that we are doing it from the perspective of a Black woman losing her vision and not just of a woman losing her vision.
And just when you thought it was over,
we're not done.
You learn about her.
Check this out.
Bigger plans. I'm feeling that.
That is actually the song where we are putting out our AD version of the music video that we put together. We're very excited about that.
In the meantime,
we put this music video together. We ended up getting backed by a company that does diversity styling, and the company's called Diversity Styling. We ended up shooting it in a space called Positive Exposure, which is a gallery that only showcases art from underrepresented groups. And in the video, they had a bunch of pictures hanging from students with different disabilities. And the song, as you can see, was written by a woman with a disability. And the video was produced and directed by myself and the Diversity Stylings woman. And then the star of the video, Zazelle, gosh, she's good. She ended up sort of dancing in the video, and she starts out with a cane and she's unsure. Then she throws the cane away and she starts dancing, and it's so empowering. But by the end of the video, she actually picks the cane back up and continues to dance with it, because that's her whole her. It's not about throwing it away. The whole video from top to bottom is just made by folks with disabilities. We've been entering it into all sorts of contests. We just literally won Best Music Video at the International Film Forum, New York, New York Mill Gallery.
We all need some wins every now and then, don't we?
I do this all the time, right? I'm always doing these little radio interviews, whatever, this little thing here, this little thing there. This is probably one of my favorites.
Oh, well, cool.
Because we're sitting here talking, man.
Yeah.
I'm not being rushed. We're not trying to hurry up and plug something. I don't have my show notes, let me make sure I hit this. Let me make sure I hit that.
Yeah.
And I'm also, you know what I'm saying? And then I could tell that we are having an A and B conversation.
Absolutely.
It's not just you reading a quick question and then just kind of scrolling through something while I'm trying to answer it.
Yeah, definitely not.
You know?
Definitely not.
So I really appreciate your perspective. I really love this show. When Ben sent me the link, I was like, oh God, I got to get on this show. And so I really love it. And everything that you come through and say up in the club is always just so insightful. So I just did want to throw that out to you as well.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Lachi and I haven't popped bottles in the club just yet. She's talking about Clubhouse, the audio-only social gathering space. I'm an admin with the 15% Club, which is all about disabilities, as in 15% of the world's population has a disability. Lachi moderates a room on Thursdays called The Blind Side. It's popping. But this is about you, Lachi. This is all about you. And so you need to understand that once you come on Read My Mind Radio, I need to tell you, Lachi, you are now an official member of the Read My Mind Radio family. You understand that, right?
I love it. I love it.
You can find Lachi on all social media at Lachi Music. If you're on Clubhouse, don't forget to check her out on Thursdays. I might be working the door, but if I'm not, let her know you're part of the Read My Mind Radio family, and I'm sure you'll get the VIP treatment. Visually impaired player. Of course, go on over and follow Lachi's YouTube series, The Offbeat, and show your love. If you like what you hear, please follow this podcast wherever you like to listen. We out here. Don't forget, we have transcripts and links over on readmymind.com. If you've been rocking with me, you know how this goes. But for those who don't, I'm going to do this real slow. That's R to the E. I.
D, and that's me in the place to be.
Like my last name. Peace.